Ready to go live? Okay. We are live.
Live. Oh, good.
Let me see, but I can't see this. How come? It's still saying waiting for Ceci. Wow, we have somebody on the chat. We have somebody on the chat.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Good.
Great. Yeah. So, good evening, guys. If you're on the chat, please say hi. If you're on the chat, please say hi. I can see that there are 2 people on the chat. Oh, now there's nobody. And we have lost our guest. We have lost our guest. I don't know what happened today. Whoa, I hope the network is not gonna fail us today. Okay, he's back. He's back. He's back. He's back. I don't know what happened. What happened?
I don't know what I pressed, yeah, but we are back.
Oh, it's technology. I'm telling you, it's not easy.
I'm telling
It's
you, I'm telling
technology.
you.
I just
Yeah,
hope it
no.
won't fail us today. I just
No,
hope
no,
it
no,
won't
no.
fail us.
No, let's hope
Yeah.
so. Let's
Yeah,
hope
but
so.
now that last week I was using my laptop and the network
Okay.
was very bad. I couldn't hear my guests properly. So I decided to use
Okay.
my phone today. So hopefully it's gonna be you know, it's gonna be better
Yeah, let's hope
because
so.
StreamYard is kind of challenging.
I think the network is okay.
Yeah. So we will just wait a little bit. Let me
For
see if I
Kanjilu?
can. Kanjilo have not responded, but Jerry indicated that he will be here with us. So
Okay.
yeah, we'll just wait for just a few minutes because I've contacted them.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. If they can't
We
pitch up, we can continue.
No
It would have
problem.
been great to have more people, but unfortunately, there are too many responsibilities and all that. Yeah, I can see we
Exactly.
have 2 people on the chat. Please,
Okay.
if you're on the chat, say hi. If you've just joined us, say hi. We're gonna begin in a few minutes. We're gonna begin in a few minutes. So yeah. Are you at home?
Yeah, I'm home.
I know the struggle.
Exactly. Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, I'm
I
home.
know the struggle.
Are you at home as
If we
well?
can just have 3 more people on the chat, guys, please share us out. If you're on the chat right now, share us out. Share us out so we can have a little bit more people on the chat. It's a very quiet Sunday.
Exactly.
Very quiet. I don't know if people are still at church. Maybe.
I know. Maybe people are having Sunday sessions or something.
Yeah, Sunday sessions and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So there we are. All right. It's 10 minutes past now. If they have to join in, they will join us. I'm sure they will
Yeah,
join us
yeah.
because they have to. So let us just begin. So, Mr. Moses, just a little bit of an
Yes.
introduction. This is actually our second. First of all, good evening to all our viewers, wherever you're finding yourself, whether it's good evening or good afternoon. I can see that we have three amazing people on the chat. Thank you very much for joining us. And please feel free to give in your views. Feel free to give in your views. We have so far one guest on the chat, not on the chat, but joining us. We're still waiting for two more guests. Hopefully, they will be coming through. If you are on the chat, say hi and also feel free to give your opinions and your views. All right, so this is actually our second live show where we are talking about development in the two Kavango regions. Last week we spoke about why is Rundu neglected. So we had, awesome views from our guests, looking at as to who should the blame go and what perhaps we should be doing, who is not doing their job. And the conclusion I think that we reached is the fact that almost everybody is not doing their job because there's always somebody on top of you that, you answer for. The person on top of you has somebody that he is answering for. So obviously, if somebody is not doing their jobs there, then things are not going to move accordingly. So I have Kamal on the chat. He says hi. Now today we have a different kind of topic. So the topic reads, why are Kavango regions the poorest? So we are looking at both the Kavango East as well as the Kavango West. So
Cavango
it
West.
has been ranked as the poorest regions according to the 2015 statistics by the National Planning Commission. So I did my research. Yeah, I did my research because I needed to get
Very
my
good.
facts straight. Yes, so
Very
I did
good.
my research. And the statistic that I got so far that's available is the statistic taken in 2015. So we don't know if there has been an improvement between 2015 and now. There might have been an improvement. And that will, the statistics that is going to be taken next will determine whether there has been an improvement. And I'm looking forward to that actually. When I was looking at this, statistics, I was like, oh my God, it's very much alarming. So I'm hoping for an improvement. So Anita also joined us. She's saying hello, host. Thank you so much for joining us, Anita. I think Anita is a non-Namibian. So thank you very much for that thumbs up. So I'm gonna explain later to my non-Namibian friends that might be coming through as to what exactly it is that we are talking about. Jessie Queen also says hi, host. Thank you very much for joining us. Okay, so I'm just gonna say out my uh the data that I collected, I should say. All right, so it says that Kavango is amongst the top three poorest regions in Namibia. And when I'm talking about the top three, it is actually topping. Kavango is on top.
E-
Leia Slide was also
Exactly.
here. They're saying hi. Guys, I can see you all. I can see you all. Thank you so much for coming through. So it is at the top. And the top three regions that I'm talking about are actually Ohangwena being the second, and then Oshikoto being the third, respectively. So Namibia has an estimation of 568,000 418 poor people, according to the estimation. And amongst these poor people, Kavango makes 21%. Okay, Kavango makes 21%. Now, and this is from the two Kavango regions. And it also says that more than one third of the population is poor. More than one third of the Kavango population is poor. And the poverty head counts is 53.2%. That is almost half, of the population. 53.2%,
The
of which
population of
64% of the, yeah, 64% of the population is materially deprived. 64, guys. That is high as well if you look at it. And then 50% are unemployed or employment deprived. That is also about half of the population if we look at that. And then of course 73% are said to be deprived in terms of education. That's alarming. Education. And these are the indicators of poverty. When we talk about poverty, education is amongst them. So the statistic says 33%, Mr. Moses. And the shocking one is here.
deprived.
90% are deprived in terms of living environment condition, which is another indicator of poverty. 90%. Very, very alarming. So that is according to the Poverty and Deprivation in Namibia 2015. Now, Mr. Moses, the question is, where are we going wrong? What is happening in our region? Who is to be blamed? Is it us,
Well,
the residents? Is it the government? Is it who? What is happening in our region?
well, very good question indeed. Very complex topic, very interesting
Mm-hmm,
topic. First and foremost, I think I want to applaud you for actually taking so much time to gather relevant data that is
mm-hmm,
so informing to the audience. The Kavango question is a very complex question. I must acknowledge that.
mm-hmm,
However, as the question is put, where have we gone wrong or where are we going wrong as a people of the region? Is it
mm-hmm,
the national government? Is it the regional governance?
mm-hmm.
Does it go down to the constituency level or is it individuals that are failing the region? Uh,
Absolutely.
First and foremost, Cavango is actually second, if not, if I'm not mistaken, it's the second in terms of majority. We are a
Mm-hmm.
large population. We are a large population. However, we lack industries. Number one,
Okay.
we lack industries. In terms of, we'll get to the employment part of it. We were still
All
rated
right.
the highest in terms of youth unemployment. Fine, we
Mm-hmm.
lack industries in terms of employment. Secondly, education wise, just like it was said, like 33% of the people in the Cavango are deprived from accessing formal education. I wouldn't say deprived, but I would say we deprive ourselves some points because
Mm-hmm.
Cavango is one of the regions that has so many schools in the whole of Namibia. We are a region that has so many schools. Now, when we discuss the issue of poverty, it's a question that touches some of us so much because this is the truth. Because you face it every day. These are things that you see on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
You look at how people are living in deplorable conditions. You look at how people are failing, to access meals, as simple as meals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One of the indicators that was used to arrive at the fact that Cavango is the poorest region was they looked at 3 meals a day. How many people in the Cavango can afford 3 meals a day? The revelation was very shocking that it's only 30% of our population can afford to eat 3 meals a day, which is very, very worrisome.
Okay.
Now, having been a scholar of community development for the past 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
I've come to learn that one of the most significant um, thing that is actually lacking is that access to information has been a problem in the Kavango region.
Mm-hmm.
Access to information, because you look at certain cases, you find that we have got people that have met university requirements and are seated deep in villages saying they do not have somebody to fund their studies. Now,
Oh my God.
mind you,
Mm.
NSFAF is out there.
Mm-hmm.
All you need is to put your documents in order and they provide the
Mm-hmm.
funding. However, me and you are fortunate enough that we are able to get this information, but a certain percentage of our population in the region still is still stuck that they cannot access certain institutions. Access to information has been a problem. However, I do not blame the people. Now, if we've come to learn that certain information do not reach our people, as the regional governance, heads of departments in the region, different departments, ministries, we have the Ministry of Education, we have the Ministry of Health, Gender, almost every ministry, regional council, whatever you name it, are all
Mm-hmm.
represented. governance has been decentralized regionally. Now,
Absolutely.
when we go into communities, what kind of data are we gathering? How are we informed about the people? What is it that they know? What is it that we gather from engaging them, that which they need to know? So at the end of the day, it's the ball is actually up to us. Kavangos are very honest people, I should say, and I'm very proud that we are very honest people. Now, our problem has been lack of information access. Because when you do not have the information, it's hard for you to access whatever that which you need in order for you to improve your life. You know, there's been labels of Kavangos are actually very lazy. Kavangos
Absolutely.
want
Yeah.
to be security guards. It's not by choice.
Yeah.
It's actually not by
And do
choice.
you know that you'd find just there on the security guard part? Do you know that you'd find a security guard who actually has a grade 12 qualification with good
Exactly.
points, very good points
Exactly.
that they could qualify to university, but they are still security guard. Now, my question there,
Exactly.
Mr. Moses, before you continue, is that are our people ignorant? Because you mentioned that there's lack of information. Okay, so if I got you very well, you say that there are representatives in each region. For example, we have representatives of NASFAF. You know, are they the ones that are not taking the information to the people? Are we saying they are the ones that are not taking information to the communities? Okay, because I believe that is part of their responsibility as well. So instead of letting people, I'm sure they do talk about these things on radio, but then how many people are actually having access to radio and stuff? So are we saying that they are the ones that are not bringing the information to the community, or are we saying that it's the community that is not going to seek for this information, you know, to their offices?
You know, it's a two-way traffic. But first
Mm-hmm,
and foremost, we we have people that are living in deplorable conditions that needs help. Now,
mm-hmm,
now I believe in a theory where if I need something, I need to stand out and look for it. But if I cannot be able to look for it, because it's impossible at this point in time in the two Kavango regions that you find a village that do not have somebody that has reached tertiary. It's quite impossible. Whether somebody you are related to, a neighbor, somebody from the next house, there is obviously someone. Now, the challenge comes with the people themselves also.
mm-hmm,
For as much as services are not, going into villages, people are not going into villages to give, this information. But how eager are we as a people to go out there and find
mm-hmm,
information? Because, I've come to learn over the years that when you do not have information, it determines your state of living for the next years until you get to open your eyes. So these are public offices. One problem we have in Cavango is that we fear going to ask for information from public institutions, from public offices, where people that are paid by government are seated to actually give us information. Now, for instance, you have an office like the Kavango Regional Council.
mm-hmm,
The Kavango Regional Council is there. There's community development. There are different departments. We have a liaison officer, a community liaison officer that is supposed to link the community and the regional governance. I mean, these are our own people that we can walk into the office, speak, the language that they can understand. These are people that can be able to help us. First and foremost, we are not eager to go out there and find opportunities. And then secondly, regional, I would say people that are employed in government jobs that are supposed to go out there, reach out, link between governance and communities.
mm-hmm.
perhaps could also not be doing much. I'm not going to undermine their efforts that they've already done so far, but I
Mm-hmm.
believe we live in towns. Those of us that live in towns have access to televisions, have access to cell phones, newspapers,
Mm-hmm.
you name it, radio. But our fellows that live in rural areas sometimes do not even trust things that are said on the radio. So it's imperative that we find time to directly go and engage the segment of our society that has been deprived from access to information, because the moment the people get that access to information, their lives
Mm.
improves. The moment people understand that it's okay to pick up a phone and call the CRO of the Kavango East region and ask for information, we are going to improve. Because I can pick up my phone, call the CRO, and ask for information that I need from his office. It's allowed. Now, when we do not have people with this kind of mindset, it's actually up to us. I would also blame people that have feathered. Let's say, for instance, you are from a village that is disconnected, for instance, from
Mhm.
all kind of services. Maybe all you have is network. It's upon your shoulder as a graduate from that village to actually get somebody to graduate after you. How do you do that? Is by you taking information to those people. NSFAF has
Mm.
flyers, they have everything, all the kind of information. We still have people that are above 30 and do not have birth certificate. How do you explain that?
Oh my God.
So at the end of the day, what do you expect? How do we then push the statistics? How do we then improve the conditions of our people? If our people do not have access to information, then it means our status quo will remain
The same. Each and
the
every year.
same each and every
Mm.
year. I mean, I'll speak about tenders. Yesterday we had a heated
Mhm.
debate on one WhatsApp
Before
group where
before we
people.
go to tenders,
Thank you.
right? Just on the lack of information, okay? You mentioned
Yes,
that
yes,
people are allowed to go to the offices, people are allowed to pick up a phone and call. I'm going to give my
yes,
own experience,
yes,
growing up and looking for information, okay? You'd find offices that you'd go to. You have to wait in long queues. When you go there and ask the person, they don't even give you much information. It's either they give you attitude, or they don't want to talk to you, or they just don't provide, they don't make you comfortable to actually be in that office and ask whatever question you want to ask. And then the issue of calling, you also mentioned that you can pick up a phone and call. It's allowed. How many times, even yourself, Mr. Moses, Mr. Shkerete, I'm sure you have called offices where you have called for the whole week and nobody, not even a single person, picked up.
exactly, exactly. You see,
So what?
this is one.
Mm-hmm,
This is actually one problem. You are right to point it out.
mm-hmm,
I won't deny that we have a poor customer service in terms of attending to clients in our region. We have people that sit
mm-hmm,
in offices that makes it so hard for the clientele that they serve to come in and access information or services from their offices. Because the
mm-hmm,
problem we have is we have people that have been sitting in these offices for years and feel that this is actually my place where I can do what I want, attend to who I feel I should attend to at a certain time. Now it
mm-hmm,
becomes a problem. I'll give you my personal experience as well. That I
mm-hmm,
walked into one office. I'm looking for a public document. You understand? I'm looking for a
mm,
public document that I believe this office will have. But because somebody feels maybe you are going to use the document against them, maybe you are looking
mm,
for some certain. But what does the access to information bill says? It says people should not be denied public information. public documents. Now,
Mm.
in the Kavango East and West region, these are some of we should also acknowledge our faults that some of the West regions where customer service is very poor. What people do not understand is that when I walk into a government building, into a government office, where you are employed to serve the public, you treat me as a customer. I'm a client.
Mm-hmm.
Now, growing up, our experience in both Kavango regions, I mean, in the Kavango before it became two Kavango regions, I wouldn't speak
Kavango
much
Regions.
of Kavango West because I'm yet to experience, how
Yeah.
things are done the other side. But, Kavango East, Rundu, specifically, that has been, the regional center for the Kavango then. I will tell you that what we lack is that service delivery is somehow very poor, and certain individuals are pulling us down. I mean, you go to the Home Affairs, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we have people without birth certificates at 30 is somehow not because they do not know where the Home Affairs is because of the attitude of people that are employed to work in those offices. Somehow they do not serve the public interest. When you
Mm.
speak of the service, the poor service in government institution, it disheartens it, but it's honestly the truth, and that is what is killing people from accessing the most crucial information that they need in order for them to improve their lives.
Mm. 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 Absolutely. Yeah, I think we have exhausted that point of lack of information, which
Information, yes.
definitely is the reason why some people do not have. And then you also mentioned that um, some people do not have access to formal education. Before we move on, I would like to read out the comments on the chat. So Kamal is saying government doesn't create a job, but can create an enabling environment for job creation. For job creation, skills acquisition, women empowerment by ways of guarantee of soft loans. And then another one also, government should invest in areas of competitive advantages of products or services that can be sourced within Kavango area and Namibia at large instead of importation of such products or services. I think we're going to touch on these ones when we get to the solutions, okay? When you get to the solutions towards the end. So you also mentioned that there has been lack of access to formal education. Can we perhaps maybe expand a little bit on that?
When we speak of
Lack of
access,
access to formal education.
yes. Now, when we speak of lack of access to formal
Mm-hmm,
education, like I said earlier, that
mm-hmm,
Cavango is one of the regions that, fortunately, is blessed with so many
mm-hmm,
schools. However, there's still, a population, there's still a number of our people that did not enjoy accessibility to education.
mm,
I will speak of the inlands. I'll speak of the inlands. We have, a certain number of our people that live in remote areas. People that have gone up to, let's say, those schools. Most of the schools in the inlands are up to grade 4. Most of them previously, you would
mm,
find that there's grade 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is a one-man school. In most cases, there used to be one-man school. And when the person reaches grade 4, if they do not have family either in town, or the parents cannot afford to pay for hostel, then it means their story or their journey of education ends there. Now, in recent years, we have seen schools being, upgraded. We have
mm,
seen access widening. We have seen hostels being built in the inlands. We have a good example of the newly built schools in the two Kavango regions. We have Imarwaithete, that is, I believe, deep in Pungu.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
We
yeah,
have,
definitely.
exactly, we have Matumbo Libebe, that is deep in the inlands, in the Kavango East region. Now,
Mm-hmm.
previously, ask yourself, before the road infrastructure was even put, Naute was definitely disconnected from the rest of the region. Because in order for you to come from Naute to Rundu, that means there must be a 4x4 of a farmer that they have to wait for a certain period of time before the farmer goes maybe to go and pay his workers. Let's say that's February. That's when he's going now to go and pay his workers, and that's when you are coming to get access to transport and look for a school for this child. You put them at a family house, they stay with a family member. Treatment that they get there sometimes may give them reasons to discontinue their education. But as we speak now, a child that is, from Tamu Tamu, that is now in the hostel at Ngaute, the parents will be sleeping peacefully knowing that they have paid for their child to stay in the hostel from whatever time to whatever time. Because I believe people that do not have access routes from the hostels are allowed to stay behind. They only go when school closes, is when they gather in a certain number and are taken. So previously, access was definitely a problem. We have so many people that have dropped out of schools simply because of their home conditions. Where they live or where they have lived has disadvantaged them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. So in other words, we are saying that people drop out of school, people do not have access to school because then because of all this that you have mentioned, the infrastructures, road and so on, and then of
Exactly.
course if you are waking up, I read in the newspaper, I think the article was published somewhere in 2020 of a child who goes to school on an empty stomach, because of that. I think we are leading to what Kamal has written about the government and all that, providing, creating job creation, creating or perhaps giving loans to women. They say when you empower a woman, you empower the whole community. See? So I
Exactly.
think that leads to that, because these children are coming from homes where the situation is very, very poor. They don't eat. Earlier on,
Exactly.
um, you mentioned that about how many percentage? 30% of households in Kavango regions only cannot afford. It's not by choice, because some people
Yes,
make it by choice to have 2 meals a day and stuff.
a
But
day,
for them, it's
exactly.
not by choice. They can't afford
Three
three
meals,
meals a
exactly.
day. So if this child is not having enough meals, how do they go to school?
To school,
It all leads to school dropouts and so on. Now, in
exactly.
that case, now, what would you say about such situations in households where people are extremely poor? Because definitely due to unemployment, due to lack of education, it all leads to that.
Uh,
Like
just like,
poverty is at home. Mm-hmm.
just like unfortunately, it's the reality in the Kavango regions. We
Mm-hmm.
have some of our people that are very, very poor and are living in deplorable conditions. It doesn't have to be in the
Mm-hmm.
inland. We can speak of constituencies that are just within reach, but then you
Mm-hmm.
find that these constituencies are about 30, 70, 50 kilometers from town. But then you find people that are dropping out of school because of their home conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question is, how do we help such people improve their lives?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Government has, tried by all means to create schemes that are meant to benefit people that are living in deplorable conditions. The ministry, I will speak mostly about the Ministry of Youth because I think I'm more attached and close to the Ministry of Youth. The Ministry of Youth,
Mm-hmm.
through the National Youth Service, has a scheme that gives grants and loans. Now, how does somebody that is in Dosa that how will they get this information? Now, this is where the question of regional councillors come in. Now, our expectation as youth practitioners is that, or as community workers, our expectation is that we take stock of our people in every constituency. I'll give you a good example of a constituency like Cavango, which was also rated one of the poorest.
Yeah, one of the
Now,
poorest.
exactly. Now, if I work for the National Youth Service and I approach the youth forum in Cavango, I'm coming from Windhoek, for instance. I'm coming from Windhoek. I'm bringing opportunities. Now, I come to Cavango and then I go to these people. I go to the councillor's office and ask, okay, fine. Can I at least get which homesteads or which households are the poorest in the Cavango constituency? If I cannot get that information, if I have to be taken for a drive in the constituency for me to access with my own eyes which one is the poorest homestead, that means the whole trip is a fail. Because if I have to come to a place like a constituency office, I'm supposed to find the entire information there, first and foremost. Now, what we do, in most cases, what we do is that you know the home situation of the next household, but because they cannot access the information that you can access as the leader, what we do in most cases is we take these opportunities and give to those that are coming to us and ask because they've accessed that information. We are supposed to go to these people. I mean, these are people who are not disabled. These are able people, if given a chance, can be able to improve their own lives. In most cases, what we think is that we can improve their lives on their behalves. That theory has failed almost in every nation where it was tried. Let the people be involved in something that changes their lives. For as much as you are bringing it to them, let them be involved. Let them tell you what they need in order for them to improve their daily lives. So I believe what we need to do, for as much as government is trying, if we do not involve the people themselves at the ground, the people faced with the situation, if we do not involve them in the planning of the affairs of things that we want to change their lives, we are still planning to fail.
Okay, you mentioned about the government schemes that are provided to the people, of which I am quite sure a lot, majority, and we could even say it could be probably 90% of these people do not know about this. And there's no way that they are going to know, like you mentioned, if the people involved are not taking this information to the people. But I also want to ask, you talked about loans. These loans, under what conditions are they given, perhaps? Can everybody, even the person that doesn't have an income, be able to afford it? Or what conditions are there for this kind of loans?
Very good. I'll speak of the schemes that I know. The Ministry of Gender is as well running a credit scheme. Ministry of Youth under the National Youth Council also has a credit scheme, especially for young people that are below 30. I mean, that are below 35. You get those credit schemes. Now, it does not matter what you have. What matters is your idea. If you have an idea on how and what you want to do with the loan, you will have access to that money. Now, you need to brainstorm an idea that is viable, that can be able to make a return at the end of the day, because the whole concept is for you to improve, to move from zero to something. Now, for instance, you have mostly women. We have women. I believe our Cavango women work so hard. You have women that are in villages that want as little as $5,000 to start selling tomatoes and onions by the roadside. But it's hard for these women to access these funds. From selling their tomatoes, they can be able to pay as little as $200 in order for them to refund the money. The conditions of these loans are very, very relaxed because they understand the people that are coming to take these loans. So they are very, very relaxed. The only unfortunate part is that, like I said, people in the rural areas do not have access to this information. They do not know. But regardless of your condition, for as long as you are able, you put an idea forth, you have met all the requirements, you are a Namibian, first and foremost, you have an idea that is viable, you can be able to access that loan. And it's not only loans, there are also grants. We
Okay.
come, they come and evaluate your condition. Sometimes
Okay, our network is cutting there. Our network is cutting there. I hope you can hear me.
yeah, I can hear you
I just want
properly.
to read out some comments. Yeah, I just want to read out some comments that came through. Kamal is still saying that there is nothing wrong in establishing agro-industry free trade zone, and the markets are there within and around your country, even internationally. And then Adi is saying good platform. I have Herrero in UK that's saying my opinion is let's not get into loans. And she continues by saying, if one gets a loan, why should the person still remain at the level they were before getting the loan? Now, just on the issues of the loan, you mentioned that there are certain requirements. Could it be that are these requirements, even the grants, are they relaxed? Can anybody or almost everybody qualify, or is it only those who are privileged who can qualify? Let's say we have people deep in the villages. Do these people qualify? Are the requirements relaxed? Are they meant, the grants, are they meant for those people, or are they meant to be benefited by the people in towns?
Well, thank you very
How
much.
are the
I'll give you
requirements for
my
that?
very good. I'll give you personal experience at the same time. There was I think in 2019. In 2019, there was 121 the constituency projects where young people are supposed to come up with 10 young people in every constituency. 10 young people will be funded, are supposed to be sent to go and get training for whatever business idea that they have. Now, that was a youth credit scheme. 10 young people from each constituency that come together, that have brainstormed a business idea. Now, personally, I applied together with my fellow youth in the constituency. I applied through Rundo Eben. We applied, we came together. Now, when we reached the stage where the project is supposed now, to go on, when we are supposed to be sent now for training, we were informed, if you have a job, you cannot participate. It was not meant for people with jobs. Already that tells you already that it was a tailor-made program specifically for people that are supposed to come and improve their livelihood through this program. Now, gladly, together with my few comrades, we withdrew from the project, you understand? Because we felt like at the end of the day, this information that we are being told really makes sense. We have, a job, and there is somebody in the same constituency that does not have a job. But because they did not get that information, at the end of the day, we are supposed to benefit on their behalf. which was going to be totally unfair. So these programs are actually meant for people that have nothing and are aiming to change their lives. Somebody can be as far as Naokoa, wherever they can be, for as long as they are Namibians, they have an idea, they form a consortium, or on an individual basis, they can be able to get these loans or grants.
Okay, so now the issue here is that because the fact that the information never reached you, it's because you are privileged and you have a job. Now, after I feel like after this happens, after they realize that this information has not reached the right people, what do they do then? What do they do? Because the two of you withdrew. Now, what happens to those two places? What happened to them? Was it given to the rightful people, or did they just close the case and decide we do not have people that have applied?
Still on
I
behalf
know.
of
Mm-hmm.
yes,
You
still on
say this
behalf of
this was through the youth, right?
exactly.
Yeah. So I'm sure you have
Still
that information as well. So what happens in case you have that information, you can answer, but in case you don't, it's also okay. What happens
no.
when the people that are meant to apply do not apply? Do the officers go to them, or somebody from the office goes to them, or do they just close the case and decide there's nobody that has applied?
No, I remember like in our case of Rondo Eben, after the councillor has called us and informed us that these are the conditions, the councillor took it upon herself to go into the constituency and look for the right people through community leaders. She engaged them, and we were replaced by people that are supposed to benefit from this program. So at the end of the day, my wish or my hope is that every constituency, upon realization, did the same thing, because these programs are supposed to benefit people that they are meant to benefit. The case of Rundu Eben, we were replaced, and people that are supposed to benefit are currently in that project and have benefited from it.
Okay, awesome. All right. Great. So before we talk about the tenders, our time is catching up with us. You also mentioned lack of industries. Let's expand on that a little bit. I'm sure it does correlate to what we have already spoken about, but let's expand on it a little bit. Lack of industries. I think some of our viewers here have given us a few points where they've talked about job creation, skill acquisition, and all that. I think when we talk about skill acquisition, we are talking about it goes hand in hand with industries and so on. Investing in areas of competitive advantages of products or services that can be sourced within the Kavango area and Namibia at large, instead of getting products from other areas.
Elsewhere.
Okay. And then Kamal also mentioned here there's nothing wrong with agro-industry free trade zone, and the markets are there. That means that we are able to create these kind of things because we have the market within our country. So let's expand a little bit on lack of industries in the Kavango regions.
Now, when we say lack of industries in the Kavango regions, our biggest industry in terms of one that contributes mostly is agriculture. Besides agriculture, nothing else mostly is going on in the Kavango. Before mass housing, it was worse. I believe after they brought the mass housing issue, the construction that was going on, a lot of people got into jobs, though they were short-term jobs, but a lot of our people got into jobs. People got supported through these projects. Our local people got contracts, Now, in other regions, you are going to find that there is so much going on. I will give you a very good example of the mighty Erongo region.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, the Erongo region, fortunately, is blessed with so much minerals that from mining with, stones to mining with diamonds to mining with, so many things. So some of these regions have industries that have, enabled development in those areas to be elevated. Now, one good example that I'll give you is also that now, of late, as of last year, we
Mm-hmm.
have, as Cavango, we have discovered, I mean, through the Ministry of Mines and Energy, there's a discovery, a very amazing discovery that was made that there is likely to be oil in the Cavango. There's likely to be oil. Now, currently, as we speak, people are at the exploration stage. Now, when we speak of industries, these are kind of industries that can boost the region. These kind of opportunities, if maximized, are
Mm-hmm.
opportunities that are able to improve our lives. Now, agriculture is one big industry. However, it has been underutilized. We have not taken advantage of the fact that we have very fertile soil. We can be able to produce
Mm-hmm.
for the rest of Namibia. I can proudly say we can feed the entire country. Unfortunately, we have underutilized our land. There are green schemes in the Kavango. There are green schemes starting from Mukwe, you go up to Mpungu. There are green schemes. However, how much do these green schemes contribute to the region before we move it to national? So these are unexplored. I believe, for as much as they are green schemes, but I still believe they are untapped. There is still so much to be done in order for us to benefit from our own agricultural industry.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So whose job is this?
Well, very good
You say
question.
there's so much to be done. Whose job is it
Yes.
to make sure that so
Now,
much is being done for us to benefit, for us to feed the whole nation? Because as we speak currently, we are unable to do it, isn't it? So who is responsible?
exactly.
Who's responsible? Yeah.
Well, like I said, first and foremost,
Mm-hmm.
development happens when people decide this is what they want for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and through that, government can support the initiatives that the people brings. Now, we find ourselves in a situation where we sit and expect people seated in Windhoek that are not aware, that are not, they may be aware, but not to an extent that we ourselves know our situations. So we do not actually stand up and say, this is what we want, make a comprehensive
Mm-hmm.
presentation to our regional leaders, because I believe our leaders are aware of our conditions. If you remember correctly, last year, when the current governor took office, the first thing he did, he visited Vungu Vungu. Previously, when we were young, Vungu
Mm-hmm.
Vungu was feeding us with milk, Vungu Vungu was producing guava.
Mm-hmm.
There was a serious
Mm-hmm.
dairy farm going on there. Now, there were attempts to revive it. The construction is just halted for some reasons. But when the governor took office, the first thing he did, he when a team from central government came down, he took them first to that dairy farm and says, I want this project completed. Now, when this
Mm-hmm.
voice comes from the regional governor alone, it makes it look like we are fine. But if, as a region, we can stand up and say the formula that
Mm-hmm.
Ministry of Agriculture is currently using at Ndongalinena is not sustainable and is not meeting the needs of our people. We want the formula changed. And when we go to government, we need to go with proposals. We don't go to government with complaints only. We need to go with proposals, and then government looks at what we are proposing and then see how we can collaborate. Because I think we have to reach a stage where a region collaborates with the national government. We should not be recipients but we should also be people that are participating actively in the development of our region. Why can Kavango farmers not collaborate with government in order for them to take up the green schemes? Currently, the agri-boost dev that has taken over our green schemes has failed, has proved to be a failed project. So why can we not, as a region, through our farmers, collaborate and work together with government to improve our situation?
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I want us to move on because we have, you know, time is really, it has really caught up with us. I want us
Exactly.
talk about the tenders. I saw you were really, enthusiastic when you mentioned tenders. Before we go,
Exactly.
let's expand on that. You know, when you were talking about tender, what exactly did you mean? Tenders as in how? Maybe.
We have so many projects going on. I think
Mm-hmm.
across the country, we have rural electrification going on through the Ministry of Mines and Energy. We have
Mm-hmm.
constructions of schools, clinics. Now, of late, since COVID broke out, there has been so much talks of ablution facilities that are now being constructed, all over the regions. Now, like I said, yesterday we had a tense debate where people from the region feel if there's a classroom that needs to be renovated in the Kavango region, let a Kavango get the job to renovate that classroom so that the money is spent on the local economy, so that the local economy
Mm-hmm.
is improved. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I differed a little bit with them, where I said capacity. In most cases, capacity is very, very important. We have so many projects. Remember, before we are Kavangos, we are Namibians.
Mm-hmm.
We belong to the entire nation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I believe deliberately I have seen that the regional council have done so well. Most of our local contractors got ablution facility tenders that they are working on, that they are doing, that they have been doing. Now, our challenge has been us completing jobs on time. That has been our biggest challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it the problem of the contractor, or whose problem is it that a Kavango contractor is not completing the job on time? It's because we do not have enough support. This guy gets a tender for the first time. He has to scrap
Mm-hmm.
all his last savings in order for him to complete this project. Now, it still goes to the private sector, our business community. How willing are they to boost the construction industry in order for us to also be able to go and get contracts in other regions? Because I feel like if we have to be Kavango bound and bring in. So the issue of tenders, we should first build capacity as contractors locally, capacity that will be able to take us to go and compete nationally.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. I think, Mr. Skeleton, we have spoken about a whole lot of things.
Lot of things.
Just to end, okay, just to end. I think as you were speaking, you were also mentioning, the solutions to this issue. How do we improve? How do we move from this stage where we are, even at the third point or second point? We don't want to be at the top there being ranked as the poorest. There should be an improvement. The percentage there should be a reduction in the percentage. So just to highlight a few points, maybe just very quick. As
First and
what are
foremost,
the
I'll
solutions?
be short.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll be short. I
Mm-hmm.
believe these are not going to be probably solutions that are going to end our poverty, but something that will be able to reduce it.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
let,
Absolutely.
let's continue getting educated. Most importantly,
Okay.
at
Mm-hmm.
whatever stage we are, let's continue getting educated.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, let's make use of the land and the river that we have. Let's produce food for ourselves. Let's produce food for the market. I think Amal mentioned something on us producing more that we can be able to sell even across Namibia. That is one way we can be able to end our poverty. And secondly, let's improve on the way we handle ourselves. This now, the issue of us being able to give information to people. People should not be able to come and beg for information from people that are employed by government. That way, we'll be able to improve our conditions. And let's openly discuss our poverty, because that's the only way we can be able to improve it. Let's openly discuss it. Let's not be ashamed that we are from Cavango. Let's openly discuss it. Let's be ambassadors of this region wherever we find ourselves.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Thank you very much. This was a very fruitful discussion. I wish we had more time to discuss. I mean, it's a very broad topic. It's a very broad topic.
Exactly.
But I think you have mentioned the most important things that need to be done. And I'm sure if there's anybody watching this, I hope this reaches a whole lot of people. You know, it's not just a discussion. I hope it lands on the ears of the right people, at least if they hear this. This is how we try and help our leaders also to come up with, ideas and all that. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you'll still be coming through in the future.
No.
I'm really, really grateful, Mr. Shikerete.
Always available.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me. I hope there's still going to be one more. Please keep doing it, keep going. Don't get tired.
There's going to be more. There's going to be more.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night to you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. So there you have it. That is my guest. So thank you very much for everybody who tuned in tonight and all your contributions. I really appreciate you. If you're just coming through now, we were talking about poverty in the two Kavango regions. I gave the statistics at the beginning. Our time is already up, so I'm just going to highlight a few points that I mentioned here. We talked about lack of information. You know, a whole lot of people do not know. Some people are sitting at home with their qualifications and they don't know where to go. Some people have issues of not having loans, not having grants to further their studies. I even mentioned that you'd even find some security guards who have qualifications, but because they do not have this information, so they are not able to, further their education and so on. And then also, my guest also mentioned that we should keep on studying. Education is very important because according to the statistics, which is very alarming, guys, 73% are deprived in terms of education. 73% of the Kavango population are deprived in terms of education. That is a highest percentage ever. And then my guest also spoke about improving we have lands, the climate is favorable, we have a fertile land and so on. So we should make use of the resources that we have. So I think that's all I'm gonna say right here. A whole lot has been discussed. Please make sure that you share this video. Let it reach the right people. Let it reach the right people. From me, Ceci, until next time again, same time, same place. Bye-bye. Have a great evening.